Good afternoon, everybody. Pigskin Pete here. Happy Monday to everybody. I hope everybody is as excited as I am that the football season has officially really begun now. And when I say that, it's because of the media days that are going on this week. So the next 3 days, we have the SEC media days. I believe the Big 12 media days are going on right now. And then later in the week, we will have the ACC, the Pac-12, and the Big 10. The SEC media days last 3 days. The rest of the conferences, I believe, are 2-day events. But nonetheless, the reason I chose to talk about Missouri today is for a few reasons. Obviously, the Kelly Bryant connection. I've also been getting a lot of questions about this when I was on Uncle Lou's 24-hour live stream. Took over for him for about 30 minutes late Saturday night. And I was getting questions about Missouri on there. And today, Barry Odom, the head coach of the Missouri Tigers, was the first of the head coaches to be interviewed at the media days, and I caught most of that on the radio. So basically, my thoughts, the questions I was being asked about Missouri is, how many games do you think they'll win? Obviously they have a bowl ban because of the whatever, I don't even know what it was, the cheating scandal with the tests, some stupid rule. An insanely stupid rule. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I do consider them to be a contender in the East. Yes, you heard me right. A contender. Did I say they're going to win it? No. Dark horse? Absolutely. And here's a couple of reasons why. I think that most people believe that Florida and Georgia as being the front runner, are the top two teams in the East, and I would agree with that 100% as far as overall talent goes. But Missouri has an elite coaching staff, I believe. I believe their coaching staff top to bottom is better than Florida's. They have a veteran quarterback in Kelly Bryant. They have a lot of returning starters. They are the only team, if not one of the only teams in the SEC that had zero players enter the transfer portal, which means that you have a lot of veteran leadership coming back, guys that are bought into the program, which is extremely important. People like to throw that word out there, culture and program and buying in and all in with Clemson. It gets thrown out around a lot. I understand that, but there is some validity to that. It does matter that you have players that are invested in the team that they're playing on in the school that they're at. So you can never underestimate that. Kelly Bryant's big game experience. The guy's 16-2 as a starter. The only reason that he was not the starter last year at Clemson for the entire season was because we had a generational talent and Trevor Lawrence come in and beat him out. And let's be honest, people like to say, if it wasn't for Kelly Bryant, then Clemson wouldn't have won that Texas A&M game. Well, we'll never know that, will we? I mean, we just won't, because you can't go back and replay the game without Kelly Bryant. But one thing I do know is that if Sweeney had not made the quarterback change after week 4, then Clemson most likely would not have won the national championship with Kelly Bryant. That's just my opinion on it. Not hating on Kelly Bryant. I love the kid, and I think he's going to be great. And Missouri, here's the thing, man. If you look at look at Florida's schedule, Georgia's schedule, and who else would, if you take Missouri out of the conversation here, who else would you put as a contender in the East outside of Florida and Georgia? Don't tell me South Carolina. First of all, they've got one of the toughest schedules in the country, and I just don't consider them a contender anyway, even if they didn't. Tennessee is obviously in a transition still. No, they're not going to win the East, not this year. So who do you have left? You have Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Missouri. Look, out of all those teams, obviously Missouri has the most talent. Okay, I like Derek Dooley as an offensive coordinator. Can you name a much better offensive coordinator in the SEC right now? I don't think you can. He's the most proven. Listen, his handprints are all over the SEC throughout his career. LSU, obviously at Tennessee. Then he goes to the Cowboys as an offense or a wide receivers coach or whatever. Listen, the guy's proven. He's put tons of people in the NFL. He's coached in the NFL. He's got a better record as an offensive play caller and developer of offensive talent than just about every other offensive coordinator right now in the SEC. So I really like him. I think he's smart. I think he's going to do wonders with Kelly Bryant. He's not going to do the same thing he did with Drew Lock, but he'll do wonders. He'll get the most out of Kelly, for sure. And I also think you'll see Kelly throwing the ball a lot more at Missouri than he did at Clemson. And that's not because Kelly couldn't throw, even though he did have some problems with the intermediate passing game. That's another thing I want to address real quick, because I was listening to these media days, and you have Paul Feinbaum. Who's the other guy? Marcus Spears, I think, is on there. And they're talking about what Kelly Bryant needs to work on. You know, what are his strengths and what are his weaknesses? Of course, everybody agrees that Kelly Bryant's strengths are his legs. We know that. He's got world-class speed. He's a great runner. And when the play breaks down, he can make things happen. He did it over and over and over again at Clemson. But they said that his biggest problem was his deep ball accuracy, and his biggest strength was the intermediate passing game. Now, this is where I don't understand. You know, that these guys are experts, right? These guys are former players. Well, not Paul Feinbaum, but Spears is. These guys are supposed to be watching every big-time football game. And everybody at Clemson knows that this is not the problem at all. As a matter of fact, Barry Odom himself, just a couple of weeks ago in an interview, said, not Odom, Derek Dooley, said that Kelly Bryant throws one of the most beautiful deep balls. He's got touch and accuracy. And we saw that over and over again at Clemson. They just didn't throw the deep ball that much at Clemson. His problem was intermediate passing. His accuracy was awful. His anticipation was terrible. And I'd say, I don't know if the percentage off the top of my head, but if I had to guess, I'd say probably 3 out of every 4 interceptions he threw as a starter was in the intermediate passing game, not the deep ball. So they're wrong. Sorry to tell you, these $1 million analysts are wrong, and Pigskin Pete is right. Kelly Bryant throws a great deep ball. He's got to improve his short intermediate passing game, period. That's it. And anyway, so I think that you'll see a lot of deep ball passes because Missouri likes to throw the ball deep. They did a lot with Drew Lock. I think they'll do it a lot with Kelly Bryant, believe it or not. More than people think they will. Now, they will also run the ball with Kelly more than Drew Lock did. So they will, you know, they'll tailor the play calling to his skill set. But here's the thing. Here's what I was getting at earlier. If you look at all the other contenders in the East, yeah, two teams in the East have more talent. Florida and Georgia. Not in that order. I think Georgia, Florida, in that order. But let's look at the schedules, though. I got a hot take for you of all hot takes. I believe that Missouri, going into November, maybe even into the second week of November, will most likely be undefeated, one loss at the worst, and will be ranked in the top 10 in America in November. When's the last time that's happened? I don't know, but let's look at the schedule real quick, and you'll see exactly why I'm saying what I'm saying. So, Saturday, August 31st at Wyoming. Now, that's a trap game. I don't know why you'd go and play a school like Wyoming on the road. That is problematic in itself, okay? Number one, it's the first game of the season, so your team hasn't really started to gel yet together, and you're playing on the road. Yes, it's Wyoming. I get that. They should beat Wyoming with no problem, but I'm not a big fan of going and playing these cupcake games on the road because a lot of times that ends up bad. So I'm not exactly sure how long ago Missouri made this deal for that game, but listen, out of all these games on the schedule right here, that's the biggest trap of all of them. Week 1 at Wyoming. But I'm going to pick them to win it. So let's assume that they're going to go in there and handle their business and beat Wyoming like they should. Okay. So then their second game, September 7th, is at home in Missouri against West Virginia. Now, I would, in the past couple of years, probably said that West Virginia, this had been an even game or maybe even favored West Virginia by a little bit. West Virginia is going to take a huge step back this year, losing their head coach, losing a lot of people decommitting, people transferring, losing Will Greer. West Virginia, I think this would be an easy win for Missouri. I don't even think it'll be close. I'd say Missouri wins this by 2 or 3 touchdowns at least. The third game of the year, September 14th at home against Southern Missouri. Obviously, I'm going to pick Missouri to win that. Fourth game of the year, Saturday, September 21st at home in Missouri against South Carolina. Now, Up until about week 10, as you can see here, I'd say that this is probably the toughest game that they have. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now. I think that Missouri is a better team than South Carolina this year. Now, next year, I'm not saying next year they will be. I think Missouri is a better football team than South Carolina in 2019. This game's in Missouri, which is the reason I'm going to give them the edge. Now, this game obviously could go either way. I'm not saying this is a sure win for Missouri. Listen, South Carolina's got big boy players, veteran quarterback. But these are the type of games that South Carolina tends to lose. And I believe at this point Missouri will be ranked. And South Carolina is not very good on the road against ranked teams under Will Muschamp. Just go look at their record. So I'm giving that win to Missouri. We could put an asterisk by that, okay? Even if you want to say that's the only loss they have. I'm going to say they're going to win it. But even if you want to say that South Carolina wins that game, fine. So they're either undefeated or one loss at this point. The fifth game of the year, September 28th. It's a bye week for them. Week 6, October 5th. Troy. And listen, look at the stretch of home games they have here. That's 1, 2, 3, bye week, 4, 5. 5 home games in a row. That's pretty amazing. Anyway, Troy, obviously, Troy's, they've known to be a thorn in people's side, but their head coach left, and where did he go? He took the head coaching job, I want to say at Temple. Is that right? Somewhere. Anyway, my point is they're going to beat Troy, okay? Not a trap game as far as I'm concerned. October the 12th, home against Missouri. Mississippi, Ole Miss. I'm going to chalk that up as a win for Missouri. Ole Miss is another team that is trying to scratch and claw their way out of a dumpster fire situation. So it is what it is. Missouri beats Ole Miss. October 19th at Vandy. So I'm picking Missouri to win. Sorry, Vandy fans. October 26th at Kentucky. I'm picking Missouri to win this. Kentucky's one of these teams that you never know what they're going to do week to week. They certainly have the ability to beat Missouri. It's in Kentucky. I get all that, but losing Benny Snell and Josh Allen, I'm sorry. I think they're in for a rough year, maybe a 6-win season or something, and Missouri will not be one of their wins. So I'm picking Missouri to win that, even though it's on the road. Then we have their second bye week, the 10th week, so week 11, November the 9th at Georgia. Now, here we go. This is what I mean. So we're into November here. Okay. Now, personally, I believe that as of November 2nd here, week 10 that we're looking at, that Missouri is going to be undefeated at the very worst, one loss, which I think, let's see, how many games is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at that point, they'll either be 8-0 or 7-1, which I believe will have them in the top 10. In the country. And so at this point, you come into the hardest games of the year, at least these next 2 games, right? Obviously at Georgia's going to be heavily favored in that, as they should be. But if Missouri is undefeated in the top 10 going into Georgia, that will definitely put a lot of pressure on Georgia that they normally would not have playing against Missouri. And listen, if you're a top 10 team going into November, all bets are off. All bets are off. You have as good a chance as almost anybody to win out. Now, I personally believe Georgia's a better team, obviously, and will win that game. Florida, I don't know. This game's in Missouri the next week after Georgia. So that's way too much to project. We don't know what's going to happen with either one of these teams for the first 11 weeks of football to make the determination who's going to win that game. But I'm going to tell you right now, if I had to, bet on it right now before the season started, if Florida was favored by more than 5 points or 6 points, then I'd put my money on Missouri right now. That could change, though. Then they wrap up the season with Tennessee and Arkansas, which I believe they'll probably win both of those games. Tennessee is actually in Missouri. So that their best games, their hardest games, with the exception of Georgia, are in Missouri. And the rest of the schedule is just very manageable. With West Virginia taking a step back, Ole Miss being in the dumpster right now. I mean, Tennessee being in a transition. So you can see my reasoning behind this. So this is a team to watch out for sure. And listen, this is going to be my team that I root for in the East, to beat all these teams on the schedule. Because listen, I don't care about any of them. I don't even really care about Missouri, but I'll be rooting for Kelly Bryant. Why not? What do I have to lose? Right? Watching them beat Georgia or South Carolina or Florida, I mean, that would make me happy, just for YouTube purposes and personal satisfaction. So anyway, let me know where I'm wrong, because I'm sure you guys are all going to disagree. I'm sure you Florida fans and Tennessee fans and South Carolina fans, Kentucky fans, you name it. I'm sure you guys are all going to tell me I'm crazy and I don't know what I'm talking about and I've never seen a SEC game before, right? We'll see who's right at the end of the year. Just make sure you save this video on your phone so you can come back and I can prove you wrong. Anyway, I'll be keeping you guys updated with some more SEC Media Day news and, of course, ACC Media Day news once that begins on Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Pigskin Pete checking out.